Salve! Hello! It's time to talk like a Roman with me, Charlie. Now, if you haven't already, you might like to watch my first Talk Like a Roman video, but it doesn't matter if you haven't. First of all, let's just briefly remind ourselves who the Romans were. They lived hundreds and hundreds of years ago in the city of Rome, which is in a country called Italy. And the Romans spoke a different language, Latin. Now, last time we learned some everyday words and phrases in Latin, such as hello and goodbye, boy and girl, and the dog ate my homework. Today we're going to learn the Latin words for parts of our bodies. So, let's go! Why don't we start with the Latin word for body? Body in Latin is corpus. Corpus. Try saying that after me. Corpus. Brilliant! Corpus means body. Next, let's learn the Latin word for head. It's caput. Caput. Try saying that after me. Caput. Well done. Now, here's something really exciting. Our English word captain, as in the captain of a ship or a captain of a sports team, comes from the Latin word we've just learned, caput. Look, you can see the CAP from caput there in our English word captain. Now, as we know, caput means head, which is on top of the body, and a captain is the head or top person in a team. How amazing is that? Our English word captain comes from the Latin word caput, and we're going to see more of our English words that come from Latin in this video. What about the Latin word for hair? Hair in Latin is capilli. Capilli. Try saying that after me. Capilli. Fantastic! Capilli means hair. And the Latin word for face is facies. Facies. Try saying that after me. Facies. Great! Facies means face. And in fact, our English word face comes from the Latin word facies. Look, you can see the FAC from facies there in our word face, even though you say them differently. Facies and face. And on our faces are our eyes. The Latin word for eyes is oculi. Oculi. Try saying that after me. Oculi. Well done. Oculi means eyes. Do any words that we use in English come from the Latin oculi? Yes. We call these binoculars. Look, you can see the OCUL from the Latin oculi there in our word binoculars, because, like our eyes, binoculars help us see things. So, our name for these, binoculars, comes from the Latin word oculi. Incredible! The Latin word for ears is aures. Say that after me. Aures. Good. Mouth in Latin is very short, os. Say that after me. Os. Great. And the Latin word for nose is nasus. Try saying that after me. Nasus. Very good. Now, the Latin word for teeth is dentes. Say that after me. Dentes. Great. Dentes means teeth. Now, can you think of a word in English that looks like the Latin word dentes? What about dentist, the person who looks after your teeth? Our English word dentist comes from the Latin word dentes. Look, you can see the D-E-N-T from dentes there in our word dentist. Isn't that amazing? Now for the tongue. Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude when I stuck my tongue out at you then. The Latin word for tongue is lingua. Try saying that after me. Lingua. Well done. Lingua means tongue. Now, do any words we use in English come from the Latin word lingua? Yes, and this is a really interesting one. Our English word language comes from the Latin word lingua because our tongues say different kinds of words in different languages, like Latin and English. And look, you can see the L-N-G-U-A from lingua there in our word language. Fascinating. And now, moving further down, the Latin word for neck is collum. Try saying that after me. Collum. Brilliant. Collum means neck. Now, in English, we call this bit of a shirt the collar. And this word collar comes from the Latin word collum because the collar of a shirt goes around your neck. And you may already have seen the C-O-L-L from the Latin collum there in our English word collar. Wow! Fantastic work so far. Now, just below the neck are the shoulders. The Latin word for shoulders is umeri. Try saying that after me. Umeri. Well done. Umeri means shoulders. And the shoulders lead down to the arms. The Latin word for arms is brachia. Try saying that after me. Brachia. Excellent. Brachia means arms. Our English word bracelet comes from this Latin word brachia because you wear a bracelet on your arm. And look, you can see the B-R-A-C from brachia there in our English word bracelet, even though you say them differently. Brachia and bracelet. And at the bottoms of our arms are our hands. The Latin word for hands is manus. Manus. Try saying that after me. Manus. Well done. Manus means hands. And on our hands are our fingers. Now, the Latin word for fingers is quite fun to say. Digiti. Digiti means fingers. Try saying it after me. Digiti. Well done. And in English, we can also call fingers digits, which comes from the Latin digiti. Look, you can see that the whole word digit has come from the Latin digiti, although in Latin we say digiti with a g sound and in English we say digit with a j sound. What's the Latin word for back? Tergum. Tergum means back. Try saying that after me. Tergum. Great! Now, in Latin, truncus is the word used for this bit of the body. From the neck down to the tops of the legs. Truncus is what we call this bit of the body in Latin. Try saying that after me. Truncus. Brilliant! Now in English, we would call this same part of the body, from the neck down to the tops of the legs, the trunk, the same word as in tree trunk. And our English word trunk comes from the Latin word truncus. Look, you can see the T-R-U-N from the Latin truncus there in our word trunk, even though you say them differently. Truncus and trunk. So, that's the bit of the body from the neck down to the tops of the legs. Trunk in English truncus in Latin. And here's my top tip. This Latin word truncus can also mean tree trunk. Now, the Latin word for legs is crura. Crura. Try saying that after me. Crura. Great. And what about knees? The Latin word for knees is genua. Genua. Repeat that after me. Genua. Fantastic. And now we've reached the feet. The Latin word for feet is pedes. Try saying that after me. Pedes. Very good. Our English word pedals comes from this Latin word pedes because the pedals are where your feet go on a bicycle. And look, you can see the PED from the Latin pedes there in our English word pedals. And what about the Latin word for toes? Actually, you already know it. The Latin word for toes is digiti, the same Latin word that means fingers, because toes stick out from your feet like fingers stick out from your hands. So digiti means toes as well as fingers. Try saying it again after me. Digiti. Well done. Absolutely brilliant. Now you can talk Latin like a Roman. We've learned loads of words today, so let's just quickly remind ourselves of all of them, and then we're going to do something a little bit different to finish. The first Latin word we learned today was corpus, which means body. Then we learned caput, which is the Latin word for head. After that, we learned capilli, which is the Latin word for hair, facies, which means face, and then oculi, which is the Latin word for eyes. After that, we learned aures, ears, os, mouth, nasus, nose. Then we learned dentes, which is the Latin word for teeth, lingua, which is the Latin word for tongue, and then collum, which means neck. Then we learned umeri, which means shoulders, brachia, arms, manus, hands, and digiti, which means fingers. After that, we learned tergum, which is the Latin word for back, and then truncus, which is the bit of the body from the neck down to the tops of the legs. We would call the same bit of the body the trunk in English. Then we learned crura, which is the Latin word for legs, genua, which means knees, pedes, which is feet, and then we had digiti again, because as well as fingers, digiti also means toes. Wow, look at all those words! You've done brilliantly well. And remember, we also learned that a lot of the words we use in English have come from Latin, like our word dentist, which comes from the Latin word dentes, teeth, and our word pedals, which comes from the Latin pedes, feet. Fantastic! Why don't you pause the video now and try writing all these words down? Then you'll be writing like a Roman too, and it will help you for the final activity we're about to do. Now, do you know the song Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes? Okay, well if you don't, it goes like this, and we're about to learn how to sing it in Latin. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. So, that's the song in English. Now let's learn it in Latin. Now here's something exciting. We already know the Latin words for all of the body parts in the song. We will need the Latin words for head, shoulders, knees, toes, eyes, ears, mouth, nose. So, to start, can you remember the Latin word for head? Don't worry if you can't, we've learned lots of new words today. The Latin word for head is caput. Caput. And what about the Latin word for shoulders? Umeri. Umeri. And can you remember the Latin word for knees? Genua. Genua means knees. And what about toes? Toes in Latin is digiti. Digiti. And can you remember the Latin word for eyes? It's oculi. Oculi. And what about ears? Aures. Aures means ears. And can you remember the Latin word for mouth? Os. Os. And what about nose? Nose in Latin is nasus. Nasus. And the only other word in the song is and, so we'll need to learn that in Latin too. The Latin word for and is et. Et means and. It's very easy. Try saying that after me. Et. Well done. And those are all the Latin words we need to sing the song. Now, listen to me sing the song in English one more time. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. So that's the song in English, and here it is in Latin. The first line goes like this. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. And then the second line is exactly the same. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. And then the third line goes, et oculi, et aures, et os, et nasus. And then to finish, caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Shall we learn that together? It's quite long, isn't it? But you're doing so well. I know you can do it. Let's learn the song together, one line at a time, and the words are here to help you too. Okay, let's sing the first line together slowly. Sing along with me. Ready? Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Very good. And now the second line is exactly the same. Sing along with me. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Very good. And now the third line, sing along with me. Et oculi, et aures, et os, et nasus. Fantastic. And now the final line is the same as before. Sing along with me. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Brilliant work. Now, I think we should sing the whole song together slowly. Ready? Sing along with me. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Et oculi, et aures, et os, et nasus. Caput, umeri, genua et digiti, genua et digiti. Brilliant work! Before we finish, let's sing that again one more time for luck. Are you ready? Here we go. caput, umeri genua et digiti, caput, umeri genua et digiti, et oculi, et aures, et os, et nasus, caput, umeri genua et digiti. Wow, excellent work. You've done so well. You should be really proud of yourself. Now, don't worry if you didn't get all of the song right just then. You can always go back in this video and try it again. So, there you go. Now you can sing the song Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes in Latin. Amazing! Fantastic work today. You've learned the Latin words for lots of parts of our bodies. You now know that a lot of the words we use in English come from Latin, and you can now sing the song Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes in Latin. Wow, well done. And remember, Latin was spoken by the Romans hundreds of years ago, so not many people know about Latin now. Your family and friends will be so impressed. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you've had fun. Wale, goodbye.